Are you wanting to try and save a little bit of money on your aircraft insurance by just having physical damage coverage for your aircraft while it is on the ground and not moving, but also want to have liability so that you can still legally fly your aircraft as per Transport Canada's regulations? Well, it's Caleb here from Air 101, and we're going to talk about it. If this is the case, then what you are looking for is all risk not in motion coverage with in-flight liability coverage. But what does that really mean? Well, I'm going to answer that in a second. But also, if you stay to the end of this video, you'll find out why it is so important that you know what this coverage is and how it can protect you when you want physical damage coverage for your aircraft, whether it is tied down outside or it's hangared and it is not in motion. And what you need to look out for that some insurance companies might sneak into their wordings that might reduce your coverage without you knowing it. So let's get to it. All risk not in motion coverage and in-flight liability coverage consists of two things. Number one, physical damage coverage. All risk not in motion includes physical damage coverage for the aircraft while it is on the ground and not moving, and the engine is off. This is one definition that an insurance company gave for all risk not in motion coverage. Also, just before we read this definition,
please note, of course, this definition can vary from insurance company to insurance company. And also whether a loss is paid or not paid, this is up to the insurance company and their policy wordings.
Ground risk only. We will pay for accidental physical loss or damage to the aircraft occurring while the aircraft is on the ground and not in motion. We will not pay for any loss or damage occurring while the aircraft is in motion. Okay, that kind of makes sense. But then how will you really know when coverage starts and when coverage stops? If you are pushing the aircraft and the engine is off, and then while you're pushing it, you hit something and damage the wing, will there be coverage for the aircraft? In order to answer that, we have to see what the definition the insurance company gave for in motion. It says the aircraft is in motion when it is in flight and whenever it is moving under its own power or by the momentum generated by its power. In addition, the aircraft is deemed to be in motion at all times when the aircraft engine is running. So in my example that I just talked about, while you are pushing the aircraft engine is not running and is not moving under its own power or momentum. So in this case, the loss would most likely be covered. Now, on the other hand, if you were taxiing your aircraft and hit something and damage the wing, then most likely the loss would be denied because the aircraft is moving under its own power. This is where some of the biggest misconceptions come from and causes some serious issues under this type of policy. Many people buy this coverage not realizing and fully understanding that if they want to taxi the aircraft and do a run-up, there would be no physical damage coverage for the aircraft the moment the engine is turned on. This is why the coverage is called all risk not in motion, because it covers all risk while the aircraft is not in motion. The second type of coverage that this policy would include is number two, in-flight liability. This will give you third-party liability coverage so that you can legally fly your aircraft as per Transport Canada's regulations, and in most cases will give you passenger liability coverage as well. The reason why I want to bring this up is because there's two types of liability coverages that you can get with this type of policy. You can get in-flight liability as well as static liability. But we're going to talk about what static liability is in a future video. Now that you made it through that and you understand what all risk not in motion coverage is, including in-flight liability coverage is, you get rewarded because you made it to this point in the video where I talk about why this is a good coverage and what you need to look out for when choosing your insurance company. This is a great coverage if you're wanting to save money on your aircraft insurance and you are planning on not really flying your aircraft much throughout the year. Here are some of the coverages that may be included on your policy. Theft and vandalism, hail, lightning, and windstorm coverage. Damage from other aircraft or cars that may hit your aircraft while it is parked, etc. Some insurance companies want to help protect themselves when an individual purchases this type of coverage. So what some insurance companies do, not all of them, but some of them do this. Some insurance companies will reduce coverage for hailstorms, windstorms, etc. and slip into their policy wording saying if you purchase all risk not in motion coverage, we will only pay for a certain percentage for hailstorms or windstorms, or we will increase your deductible if there's a loss in one of these types of situations.
This is where it's always good to call up your aviation insurance broker and discuss with them what is covered and what is not covered on your aircraft insurance policy.
Also, one of the biggest things that's not great about this coverage, instead of just buying full coverage, all risk flight and ground coverage, you lose out on some coverages such as forced landing coverage or physical damage coverage for your aircraft after you turn on the engine and you want to go fly your aircraft. So if you want to know what is all risk flight and ground coverage, the best coverage that you can buy for your aircraft, then you should watch this video right here. Stay safe, have fun flying your aircraft, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.